You know, Quanell, years ago when Hillary Clinton was accused of destroying data to hide discussions that she had while serving as Secretary of State, we had James Comey, then the director of the FBI, come out and say, hey, no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this case. We're going to put this to bed. We think there was a violation of law, you know, drilling hard drives, intentionally destroy it, but no reasonable prosecutor would pursue this, so we're just going to let it go. Then we see this tidal wave of indictments in state and federal court. You know, in Florida, we have the records one. In D.C., we have January 6th. In New York, we have some tax issues. In Georgia, we have this alleged interference with the election process. But we have people going after Trump civilly and criminally from every single angle, right? There's no talk of, well, it's not reasonable, right? It's about get Trump. Even Biden said a couple of years ago he wants to do everything he can to keep Trump off the ballot. We've seen a couple of states do that. That's clearly going to the Supreme Court. Judge Alito had some interesting comments in that oral argument. But now again, we're hearing from another prosecutor, right? As well, that was FBI director. This is a special prosecutor who's saying, well, there appears to be a very clear violation of law with Vice President at the time, Joe Biden, taking a number of records that there is an argument a president could take and declassify. A vice president doesn't have that authority. But basically, because he's so old and senile, it wouldn't be appropriate to prosecute him. So I ask you, Quanell, how is it that when the Democrats break the law, there always seems to be a reason not to pursue it? But with Donald Trump, who clearly I'm no fan of, if you watch the show regularly, you listen to me go off on him about his unhinged comments about NATO. But it's absolutely absurd that there seems to be a left-right double standard on what type of crimes are prosecuted against politicians, and it's making us look like a damn banana republic, Quanell.
I'm going to come right out and just say it. There's a conspiracy at the highest levels of government, at the highest level of business, and at the highest level of other nations who are terrified of Donald Trump to make sure he does not win re-election. That's why when you see all of these cases being brought against him, civil and criminal, you pointed those cases out. This is all solely for one reason: stop him from winning re-election. Why you think every case where he's been charged with a criminal case, from the very beginning, they said, make sure this takes place before the election. Make sure he's put on trial before the election. You and I both know federal cases don't go to trial that quick. You and I both know state cases, criminal cases, don't go to trial that quick. Alvin Bragg in New York, the DA in New York, he wants to prosecute him quickly. Also, the sister in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's under some suspicious circumstances about her character and moral ethical issues with Trump's investigation and Trump's indictment in Georgia. But still, they want to take this man to trial before the election. When you got cases on the docket in New York, criminal cases, that are older than Donald Trump's, but you're not pushing to prosecute them. They got him in Georgia. Same district attorney has cases on the docket older than Donald Trump's case, but she wants to take him to court first. This is a conspiracy to stop a man that they believe is radical and that they cannot control, and he's not willing to bow down to money because he has money. This is about Russia. This is about North Korea. This is about Iran. All of those countries know if Donald Trump, and China knows for sure, if he's reelected, this is dangerous for their nations because he's going to deal with them in ways that Joe Biden has always been too weak to deal with America's enemies.
Well, Donald Trump strikes me as someone that's ready to get into bed with China and Russia. I think he took a pretty hard tact with North Korea, and I think it's appropriate. I don't think either of these men are capable of running this country. But I will agree with you. If you look at the timeline, right, especially post-COVID criminal prosecutions, when cases are delayed for multiple years, that there is an effort to try to ensure that he isn't eligible to appear on state ballots, and that's clearly the goal. I think all of them are a stretch. I don't think New York, I don't think the civil suit by Letitia James or the criminal prosecution would even be on the radar, but for Trump's involvement in politics, which makes it look very much like our criticism of Putin, and there's many, but one of them is his efforts over the past couple of decades where he had a stranglehold, despite term limits, a stranglehold on the Russian government, is that he would imprison and assassinate, not just he assassinated opponents, political opponents in other nations. He sent assassins to the United Kingdom to kill people. This is a man that knows no rules, right? And that he was, very wealthy men. He took their fortunes and imprisoned them.
And enriched himself and his oligarchs.
All right, there's a lot of people that think Putin is the richest man in the world. He has all these castles that are hidden. He has one near the border in Finland. He is the gangster of all gangsters. He's evil. But one of our criticisms in this country has long been this weaponization of the criminal justice system to imprison political opponents. And of course, that is what we're seeing here in America. So are we
better than Russia?
No, well, I think we are better than Russia, but we're seeing it now, and the media is being silent. Just like we saw the FISA court abuses of the Obama administration during Trump's campaign. Right, the spying on Trump's campaign that was worse than Watergate.
And FBI agents lying.
Right.
And talk about creating ways to set him up.
Destroying cell phones, the Secret Service involved, all this stuff.
And that's different from Russia.
That the media, it's horrible, but we're still better than Russia. But the media is sitting silent. And I know we're media, but we don't really count, right? We're pundits, and they don't put any controls on what we talk about.
Because
but
we're
the
free
legacy
men.
media,
We're free men.
the mainstream media is doing everything they can to portray him as this awful person. Now I'll say, I think he is an awful person. I think his comments about NATO were awful.
I think he was right on point with those comments.
I think he says whatever comes to his mind.
He said what needed to be said.
He's got a filter, and I think he's just an evil,
them NATO allies
narcissist
who has a long history of not paying their bills.
Okay, I get it.
And taking that defense money and doing other stuff with it and make America foot the bill. He told them straight up, you don't pay your bill, no protection. What's wrong with that?
Well,
like a mob boss. That's like a mob boss, ain't it?
Kind of sounds to me
that sounds like La Cosa Nostra.
Kind of sounds
to me
like
John Gotti and the Gambino
family. The Gazans who you support,
pay your debts or you're going to have your head
billions of dollars to fire rockets and build tunnels instead of the humanitarian aid they were supposed to use it for in Gaza. But of course, you have a different perspective.
We don't send no money.
Right.
Either one. Hey. Send no money to Israel for war. Send no money to the Palestinians to rebuild it. Make Saudi Arabia, make Iran and the other Islamic nations foot that bill, and tell Israel you done killed enough. We ain't sending no more money to strengthen your war apparatus. You've murdered enough. That's enough.
I will say that the surrounding Islamist regimes have never wanted to do anything for the Gazans and those on the West Bank other than to fuel terror and fighting. They don't accept them there. They don't
Palestine should not look to the West to rebuild their nation when all your Muslim brothers are all around you who got the money.
But they've never done anything for the Palestinians because they want to use them as a cudgel. But they should demand that they pay for it. But hey, here's a crazy idea.
But America should help rebuild it. I take that back. Because those American bombs, Israel uses. Israel used American bombs, America's weapons. So they should have some responsibility to help repair that.
Yeah. You want to just spit it out? Hey, the Jews are bad because that's what you've been saying for years.
Evil is in every religion.
Okay.
Wickedness is in every religion.
So where do we see most of the evil and wickedness, though? Where do we see most of the extremism? Because I'll agree. I think Jewish extremism is bad. I think Christian extremism is bad. But I think the overwhelming amount of terror in this country is tied to Islamist extremism.
Depending on who you talk to.
And when you look into countries,
the FBI didn't say that. Actually, the FBI said the greatest threat to America's internal safety and security were white militia members and white extremist groups.
That's what the FBI said. That's what Biden's been preaching since the January 6th insurrection. Do you think January 6th was an insurrection? I think it was a crime.
That wasn't an insurrection.
Right. That was a protest. It didn't seem nearly as violent.
That was a protest. It got a little wild, but it wasn't insurrection.
But we've seen a bunch of other protests that got wild.
I've had protests liver than that. I've had protests way liver than that.
Right.
That wasn't an insurrection.
But
that was hype.
It was trying to stop the certification of the electoral process for president.
Was it really?
Well, I do think it did.
You really believe that?
I think they're being over-prosecuted.
That was meant to shake politicians up and intimidate them.
I think you can't storm the Capitol. I think they should have consequences. I think the consequences are too severe. You can't storm the Capitol. But I also think
the new Black Panther Party for self-defense stormed the California Capitol
that's what I was gonna say.
Reagan was president.
That's what I was going to say.
With the guns ready to send a message to them racists.
That's my big issue.
And Reagan was the governor.
Is that we've seen protest after violent protest after violent protest.
But see, ours was justified.
Where we don't see.
But ours was justified.
But crime is crime, right?
That wasn't crime.
And I think that
What we
many
did wasn't
Americans
crime.
on the right side
That
of the
was
aisle,
freedom fighting.
I think that many Americans on the
We were
right side of the
oppressed
aisle
people
are like,
fighting for
look,
our
we
rights.
saw entire cities burn and nobody got in trouble. We saw people dropping concrete on cops off overpasses, nobody got in trouble. But yet all these people were
Can I tell you
burning
something?
down the earth
Can I
to
tell you
lock
something?
every January 6th person up.
Most of those anarchists
Yeah.
who was attacking cops like that,
Whitey, right?
white kids.
I know.
Crazy
I know.
is
I know.
little liberal white kids.
Despite all the
Pepper
videos,
spraying cops and
despite all the videos
wearing
of the
masks
violence and the terror and the looting, it was Whitey's fault. I
No,
get that.
the looting,
I get it.
a lot of brothers and sisters were looting in the name of survival.
They
But
were just
looting is wrong.
they were still TVs
But
to feed
looting is wrong,
themselves.
and that was dumb as hell.
They were clearing
That
out
was
small
dumb as
black
hell.
businesses
Why
to
in the
feed
hell-
themselves.
Why in the hell you going there
That
selling
was
the
for
TV
survival.
with nowhere to plug it in?
Do you really think it was for survival? Or
Some
you
of
just
them,
say
yes.
it?
Some of them,
You
yes.
didn't say that. You said
Some of them, yes.
Most of them.
Some of them,
Most
not
of them.
most. I correct myself. Some of
How
them.
about any of them?
Any of them what?
You think, much like you and Alexander Ocasio-Cortez,
No,
think
if they
people-
still in baby
people-
formula, that's to feed their kids.
People were
They
looting.
still in diapers. Hey man, diapers and milk cost a lot of money in America today. Have you priced Similac? Have you priced Infamil? You ought to see the prices.
I know it's expensive. I have children. I
It's,
used to buy
it's
it.
as high as a giraffe's behind.
But it still doesn't justify looting and theft, right? But of course,
Looting is wrong.
Of course,
You should destroy your own businesses.
Also,
Don't destroy your
We have
community.
programs that,
But the
that
government
give the impoverished
the
people.
government's doing the same thing.
We have programs.
The
where you
American
can get-
people are being looted by the United States government every day.
How so?
The U.S. government is looting the American people with financing
I'm
Ukraine.
interested.
With financing Ukraine.
Right.
How the hell we going to give billions to Ukraine? That's not even a NATO nation.
They don't even know where the
We
billions
ain't got
went.
nothing to do with that.
Right, I
So
agree.
why are we financing that?
Well, but we've been doing that
The
around
American
the world.
taxpayers is paying for the NATO alliance countries to not foot the bills they promised to in writing. We paying that bill. We being looted.
Well, I mean, Ron Paul said it appropriately years ago. He said, look, that foreign aid is basically taking from the poor people of a rich country, the United States, and giving it to the rich people of poor countries all around the world, right? Because most of this aid, just like most church giving, I know you're a big, most church giving goes into the pockets of salaries and the pastors and the employees.
Some churches.
Not
most church giving. That's not true.
Yes, if you
Look at Joel Osteen.
I know you make up stuff.
I disagree
I
with a
know.
lot of his
Again,
sermons, but Joel Osteen doesn't even take a salary from his church. And I disagree with a lot of his sweet, kind-hearted, over-the-top, cushy sermons, but he's a man that lives off of his own books and his own independent investments. He takes zero salary from the church.
You drink the Kool-Aid. You know what? First of all, Joel Osteen is the worst, the prosperity doctrine, where you promise people, hey, give my church money.
Hey.
And
I'm not
God
going
will
to have
give you
you on
something.
FaceOff
Hold on.
bad-mouthing white folks.
Hey,
I'm not going to have
that's
you
all
up
I
here
do all the
bad-mouthing white
time
folks.
is badmouth people
You
not
need to
based
stop
on their
that
skin
right now.
color.
You
But the
stop
truth
that.
is the prosperity doctrine, which
need
is
to pray
saying,
for you.
which say, hey, give this church money and God will bless you
Some
with more
corrupt
money.
preachers,
Hold
yes.
on, completely corrupt. Absolutely corrupt.
they're all not
Absolute
corrupt,
nonsense.
though. Some of
You
them
won't
are.
find anything of that in the New Testament. In fact, you'll find Jesus tearing down temples. So
You don't
talk
even
about
like the Bible.
You
Why you
talk
talk
about
like that?
You
don't even like the Bible.
diversion of money given to all kinds of religions. You look at mosques, right? The diversion to terror and the transference of money. But most money goes to greedy people that run churches, right? And just like the government, most of our money goes all around the world as payola.
There are
It
some
goes
poverty,
all over, it goes to-
religious,
How much-
pastoral pimps.
How much?
Yes.
How much money
But I
in
wanna
welfare
say- but I wanna
budget?
say,
how
Pastor
much? How
Osteen,
much of the
To
welfare
the
budget?
Lakewood family, y'all pray for y'all white brother. Y'all white brother's out of control. Put him on the prayer list. He needs
Hey,
Jesus.
I don't need a
bad.
prayer list. You know, I found
Listen to
Jesus.
this man.
I don't need to
He's
go listen to
absence
somebody
of
say
the
I need to
Holy
give
Spirit
money
of Christ
so you can
himself.
have a private
So,
damn jet.
help him.
But no, what we need to
Put him on
do
the
is
prayer list
return to
like
real
wood.
religion, which you know nothing about. But let's get back to what
Folks,
I'm
he's
saying.
crazy and I gotta run.
We've
I'm
got
sorry,
Americans,
I gotta
right?
leave him now,
We've
y'all.
got Americans that do everything for this country, that pay tons of taxes, and we have a government that doesn't do a damn thing
Well, we
for
know the
us.
rich
Right?
don't
We don't
pay
even
taxes.
have. We don't even have police that respond to crime.
Well, we know the
anymore,
rich don't pay
right?
taxes.
We don't have anything. I pay a bunch of taxes. You pay a bunch of taxes, right?
But the rich don't pay taxes.
Well, you're talking
Warren
about-
Buffett.
Oh, yeah,
Warren
no.
Buffett
Pays
paid the same tax as his secretary.
No, he actually pays a much lower rate
And his
than
own
his
damn
secretary.
secretary.
His secretary pays about
I wish I
25%,
could
and he
stay
pays
longer
about
with you, but
3%.
I really got to go.
Okay.
So God bless
Well,
you. Lakewood, y'all pray for him. The Antichrist
Hey.
needs to be touched with holy hands. Put him on the list for baptism.
He thinks all of us.
For baptism,
He thinks
please.
all of us whites are antichrist. He manages to hate Republicans and Democrats, Jews and Christians, and yet he still sits here.
You're just not one of them.
Come on.
Charles, recently at a South Carolina rally, Donald Trump sent shockwaves not in America but around the world when he said at that rally that those members of NATO, those nations, that if they don't pay their bills, that he would allow Russia and Putin to have his way and do anything they want to and get away with it. We have a treaty and we have an agreement in NATO that America must defend the NATO allies. But the NATO allies has been forcing America to pay all of the bills for NATO, and they won't pay a dime. And so I support what Donald Trump said. I never voted for him. I don't support him now, but I support what he said. If those NATO countries will not pay the defense spending bills like they promised to in writing, well, why in the hell should America continue the corporate welfare for those NATO allies, making our taxpayers pay the bills for them and they won't pay it? If they don't pay, you don't get no protection. That's just the way it is.
I don't know if you've not been paying attention, but American citizens have been paying the bills for the entire world with foreign aid for a very, very long time. But we are the leaders in freedom. I love this country. I get that you don't, Quanell. But we have a task. We entered into a treaty. We made a promise. Now, do I think Donald Trump meant what he was saying in South Carolina? Absolutely not. The man is unhinged. He says crazy stuff. Hey, the other guy, Biden, he's senile and says crazy stuff too. And maybe both of our parties could do a better damn job about picking people to lead this nation, but they're not. So we're stuck with these two absolute idiots. And one of them, you act like you don't support him on camera, but I know you're a big Trumper. You should just embrace it. Put on your red hat. I don't care. I don't care who anybody votes for.
What he said was
but
true.
It's absolutely stupid
he was right what
to
he
say we're going to let this evil dictator do whatever he wants because somebody's not paying their bill. We don't need to be on the side of the authoritarian China. We don't need to be a side on the radical Islamists. And we don't need to be on the side of Putin.
People. If we don't pay our bills, we don't get protection.
Okay, and
don't pay your light bill being turned off. Don't pay your water bill being turned off. Don't pay your insurance bill on your car. Get into a wreck, it ain't going to cover that car, no matter how bad the damage is. The NATO alliance nations must understand America is not going to be pimped any longer, paying your bills when you have responsibility
what you need
to
to
pay it for
understand
yourself.
We have an axis of evil. Putin, China, and the radical Islamist regimes that want to take over this world and take all the freedom away. And we don't need a president. We don't need a senile president like Biden, but we don't need a crazy-ass president like Trump that doesn't want to honor this country's commitment.
They better pay their bills.
Oh, come on.
Lift every voice and sing till the earth and heavens ring. At last night's Super Bowl, Charles, they sang and played the Black National Anthem, and large numbers of those in attendance, mainly white people, refused to stand up because they didn't like it being called the Black National Anthem. So they kept their seats while those African Americans in the audience, who have always known we stand for lift every voice and sing. Now some are outraged and angry by it, but I understand because Colin Kaepernick took a knee for the white national anthem. Should black players feel the same way about those whites who wouldn't stand for the Black National Anthem?
You know, Quanell, I'm not at all surprised someone that's made an entire career out of dividing people by race is trying to have more division right here on Fox 26. But the truth is, Lift Every Voice and Sing was a poem that then became a song and is commonly referred to as the Black National Anthem, but we don't have two national anthems. And when you say they've always stood, no, people have just been performing it just in the last few years, and people aren't expected to stand.
Black people stand.
Stop lying.
Black people stand.
Stop lying.
When I was in school, we sung it and we stood.
Anyhow,
every black school.
I get that
every
you
black
just
school.
engage in make-believe and you lie on
every
TV
black
and that's
school
your
stood
stick.
for Black National Anthem.
I went to a black school, you're lying through your teeth.
And if you went to a black school, you must have been passing through because we all stood for the Black National Anthem.
Absolutely not. But anyhow, the truth is we have one national anthem. When we have all these evil forces in this country, you are one of them, that want to divide everybody by race. And what we need is to stand for the national anthem. If the NFL wants to play another song and if people want to cheer and celebrate, it's fine. But the fact that we wake up this morning after the Super Bowl to have Democrat congresspeople and activists like you condemning those people that didn't stand up for
the same way you condemn Colin Kaepernick for not standing for the white national anthem.
I didn't condemn
and
Colin
white
Kaepernick.
national
I
anthem
actually did work for
been stood
Kaepernick's
by black
Foundation,
athletes.
and I
So
support
if black
free speech,
athletes
you
can stand
idiot.
up and
But
respect
we
the
have
white national
one
anthem, respect the black
If the
one.
NFL wants to play 2 songs, that's great. But we need to stop seeking to tear this nation apart. And if we want to
have not
switch
always had
to
one national anthem.
oh, sure,
In fact,
Quanell.
black people were not allowed to even
Quanell,
sing
I know.
the national anthem in America
evil,
for generations.
Whitey bad, divide
fact,
America.
look at the words
but
of the
stupid
national
people
anthem.
like you are playing
Racist white folks
to the
wrote that
government's
national
hands.
anthem,
to,
but yet
you know
we
what?
still stand
you
out of
make
respect.
black people mad
We
at
still
white
stand
people.
out of
White
respect.
people, instead of us being mad at the rich people controlling
Nope.
this damn world,
Baby.
you want to tear us all
Black
apart by
athletes
race
stand up
because
for white
you're a
national anthem,
stupid
stand
bigot.
for the black one.